contamination, isolation, dependency. CCID. It's my diagnosis for the people of America. That's kind of what I see. I call it CCID in the book. The book is going to be out in a few months. It's called Community. All right, it's about a lot of things we're not going to talk about in this video, but you got to get it. I want to talk to you about CCID, the self-proclaimed condition of Americans right now. Centralization is number one. Centralization, contamination, isolation, dependency. Centralization is the centralization of power, the centralization of our food production, right? Those big companies that run the food industry, right? There's about, 9 of them that control all kinds of products that wind up on the supermarket shelves. These products, they wind up on the supermarket shelves, and people who go to the supermarket buy them. Better products can't make them onto these shelves. And it's a terrifying thing. And one of the great grabs for power, you know, we live in a world where we feel so helpless, right? We feel very helpless a lot of times in this world. And a lot of that comes down to the fact that we don't know what to do. How do we act? What do we do? What do we change? What do we fix? Go to the politicians. Well, you know, there's only so much they can do, really, for you. For you, look at my awesome Kickback Shack hat, too, by the way. Kickback Shack, the greatest Twitter page available. Go check it out. But anyway, out here fishing today, talking about centralized food production, okay? There goes Mr. Heron. I don't know if you can see him, but he's taking off. I'm on the banks of the James River, and I'm doing a little food decentralization myself, which means I'm taking the power back, right? I grow a lot of my own food, and another big way that you can get into food decentralization, if you have a little creek nearby, is you can get into these guys, right? You can get into eating fish. You can't eat a ton of it. You can't eat it all the time, but you can get into some fish from time to time. That's a beautiful blue catfish. They're kind of taking over the water, so it's time that we put the gas on eating those guys up. I don't eat them all the time. You know, it's not really good for you. Eat those guys. They're heavily fatty, and the fat carries a lot of the contaminants in the water. Which brings us to our second, right? So centralization of food. You have to take control of food systems and how you produce food, and how much of the food that you produce, you know where it comes from, and stop buying all that garbage, right? Fill yourself with good, healthy food, lots of vegetables. Second was contamination. And I thought doing this on the banks of the James River, the beautiful, lush James River in August, there's really no better place to be right now, right? Things look good around here. What I want to tell you about contamination, it can happen in your waterways, it can happen at home, it can happen with the products you use. I don't remember what Plato said, but he said something to the effect of our health is based on the condition of our waterways, our airways, and our places. Something like that, I don't remember exactly. But contamination. All natural resources are in a battle. There's never going to be a day when we look at our natural resources and say, they're safe, now they're safe. We know now that they're safe. Instead, it's going to be a constant battle. Right now, we're winning the battle with the James River, but a day may come when we have to fight yet again. Your mountains, your streams, your lakes, your natural places are constantly in a struggle. And we have to take control of that. We have to be very careful about what we're putting into our day-to-day lives. The levels of contamination, they're affecting our mindset, they're affecting the way we think, they're affecting our overall health. Now let's talk about isolation. So isolation is no joke, it's a scary thing. In my book, I look at a study done on isolation that talks about just how much short-term isolation can change how your brain functions and the chemistry in your brain. And we live lives of insane isolation. You know, insane levels of isolation. There are lonely people in this world who never see anybody for weeks at a time. We have an aging population. For the next 10 years, 10,000 people will turn 65 every day. Whether they retire or not is uncertain, but we're going to have that boost in the population of people who are more than likely to be isolated. What kind of effect will that have? So you got to get out. You got to try new things. You got to do things that make you uncomfortable. You got to get into things and be around people. If you sit, if you stop moving, if you lose your momentum, it's a wrap. We've come to see that, right? We've heard that in the past. You cannot lose your momentum. You have to have interaction. You're just a chimp. You have to you have to have interaction. You have to get out and meet people. Me, I run from people sometimes. Like right now, I haven't seen a person. There's some people over here on the island over there, but I don't know what they're doing. And they're not bothering me. That's what's most important. Isolation. That's a battle only you can win. You know, many of these are battles only you can win. That's why we're suffering. Centralization, contamination, isolation. These are all things that you have to step up to the plate and beat to become a better person. I'm sorry to say it. It's hard. It's not easy, but it's just the reality. The final one is dependency. Over half the nation is receiving some sort of benefits from the country, or from the from the government. Nearly half of the nation. So what does that mean? That has an effect on you. There's a saying that says if you want to make someone hate you, start giving them money. So what do you think that has to do? The moment you start getting money from someone or some source, the first thing that happens is you start wondering why you're not getting more, right? Why you're not getting enough, why you're not getting too much. So this idea that so many people are dependent on one thing or another. And dependency isn't just about government money. It's also about this thing in my hand here, right? It's about this phone. Am I dependent on it? What is keeping me afloat? What am I dependent on? What do I need? And when I don't have it, I start to get upset, right? I start to get twisted a little bit. You've got to beat that dependency. You've got to understand that you are completely and totally enough on your own. You can sit down, you can have a coffee, or you can sit down in the quiet of your kitchen or of your wherever you live. And just be. And you're enough. You are plenty. You don't need a phone. You don't need a trinket, a fidget spinner. That's the basis of dependency. Technology's coming, and it's coming full bore. And we've got to be capable of managing it. And that comes here. That comes from willpower, right? That comes from having the will to say, yeah, I don't need any phone. I don't need any electronics. I don't need any help. I don't want it. I want to make it on my own. Take it from me, all right? I've made it on my own without assistance. And, you know, sometimes it feels like, sometimes when I wake up in the mornings, literally, it feels like I did a deal with Mr. Smith from The Matrix. You remember Mr. Smith from The Matrix? He did that deal with the guy who coded the guys in the first Matrix. You know, he said he wants to I want to be a movie star. I don't want to remember any of this horrible. I wake up sometimes, I'm like that. I feel like that. It's not that I'm rich or anything. You've got to be able to identify these issues and take care of them, okay? Enough about me. CCID is what this video is about. Centralization, contamination, isolation, dependency. That's the new American condition, like it or not. Are you going to fall to it? Or are you going to take the hard route, do the right thing, and overcome it?